The galaxy was on fire. Stars that once gave light to peaceful worlds now shone on wreckage and war. Alien fleets clashed in the darkness of space, their battles turning planets into ash and their colonies into graves. Every empire fought for power, but no one was safe. Armadas of steel filled the void, and each battle only created more fear. Whispers spread in the alien council chambers, fear hidden behind laughter, and always the question was the same. Why had Earth not joined the war? Humanity stayed out. Humanity remained silent. The other species called them cowards, weak, a fragile people hiding behind their blue planet. But silence can be a dangerous thing, and silence can also be a warning. While the galaxy tore itself apart, Earth only watched. Their fleets did not move. Their soldiers did not march. To the aliens, this looked like weakness. But to those who watched closely, there was something unsettling about the way humanity did nothing. No cries for peace. No pleas for mercy. Just waiting patient like shadows, gathering strength. The alien council mocked Earth openly. They laughed at the humans' refusal to join, claiming they were too fragile to face real war. They declared Earth would be the first to fall when the war spread across every star system. But even the loudest voices in the council grew uneasy at night, because when they looked to Earth, they saw no fear, no chaos, only silence. Silence from a world that had survived ice ages, plagues, nuclear fire, and endless wars of its own. Silence from a people who, even when bloodied, always came back stronger. And silence from a planet whose skies hid secrets no one had yet seen. In the streets of alien cities, propaganda filled the air. Holograms showed Earth as a weak planet, an isolated world that would be crushed when the time came. Alien soldiers believed it, laughing about the soft-skinned humans, but in the far corners of the galaxy, where spies whispered to their masters, rumors spread. Some claimed to have seen strange ships beyond Saturn's rings. Others swore that human scientists were working on weapons the galaxy had never known. The Council silenced these voices, but the fear never went away. In hidden observatories on Earth, human eyes watched the war unfold. Screens glowed with images of burning fleets, broken planets, and refugee ships drifting with no home left. Generals stood in silence, their faces calm, their voices quiet, as if this destruction had been expected. They did not rush to join. They did not rush to save. They waited, studying, calculating. Humanity had stayed out, but staying out did not mean they were unprepared. Deep beneath oceans, inside hollowed asteroids and hidden beyond dead moons, something vast and powerful waited. The world did not know, the galaxy did not see, but Earth was not as quiet as it looked. Suspense filled the air when one empire, broken and desperate, tried to send a message to Earth. It was not a threat, it was a plea. "Help us," the signal said. "The war is ending us." But the signal vanished into silence, caught and erased before most even heard it. Someone in the alien council had killed the message, terrified of what Earth's answer might be. Yet still, something had changed. For the first time, humanity was called. And when called, they rarely stayed silent forever. The skies above Earth remained calm, but far away, hidden in deep black space, movement stirred. Shadows moved across the stars, silent and precise. Long shapes, metallic and cold, floated unseen by alien eyes. A single spark of energy hummed within the void, a signal meant only for human ears. The world's leaders gathered in a secret chamber, their voices low, their faces grave. They knew the war was getting closer. They knew silence would not last. And though they had stayed out for so long, they could not hide forever. Across the galaxy, the war pressed closer. Fleets destroyed entire systems just to gain ground. Refugees ran, screaming, from the smoke of burning cities. Councils fell. Empires collapsed. And still Earth said nothing. But those who studied war, those who knew history, began to feel a strange unease. For they realized something. No people in history had ever stayed silent this long unless they were planning something far greater than anyone expected. Suspense grew heavier when, one cold night above Earth, deep space telescopes picked up something new. A signal, faint but clear, pierced the dark sky. It did not come from the war. It did not come from any known empire. It came from the edge of the galaxy, far beyond the normal lanes of travel. Scientists froze. Commanders whispered. Was it a warning? Was it a weapon? Or was it something calling humanity out of their silence at last? In the shadows of war, Earth's silence finally began to tremble. Humanity had stayed out while the galaxy bled, but the signal meant the choice was ending. The war was no longer something far away. It was moving closer, step by step, fleet by fleet. The galaxy believed Earth would remain weak, but the truth was about to break the silence, and as the night stretched over the blue planet, something stirred in the darkness. Something vast, something hidden, something waiting. Humanity had not spoken yet, but when they did, the galaxy would never forget. The strange signal grows stronger, echoing through Earth's defenses, a sound not of surrender, but of warning. The signal echoed across Earth's defense grid, a sharp, pulsing sound that made every satellite and sensor tremble. At first, scientists thought it was a glitch, just background noise from the chaos of the galactic war. But then the pattern grew clearer. It was not random. It was structured, deliberate, like a voice carried across the endless dark. Command centers on Earth lit up with alarms, radar screens filled with strange lines, and the sky watchers who studied deep space froze in shock. This was not a warning shot, not a threat, but a desperate cry for help. Across the oceans, governments gathered in silence. Generals, admirals, and scientists sat in hidden chambers, listening to the broken words that crackled from the signal. The message came from an alien empire thought to be invincible, one that had crushed rivals for centuries. Their fleets had burned hundreds of worlds, their soldiers feared everywhere, and now they were begging humanity for help. The galaxy laughed at humans, but even giants were calling to them now. Why? What had destroyed them so badly that they would turn to Earth, a world that had sworn to stay out? The message grew weaker with every passing hour. It carried fragments of broken voices, of ships under fire, of leaders pleading for survival. The sound of alien panic was unlike anything Earth had heard before. Human commanders sat still, their faces unreadable, as if they had known this moment would come. No order was given, no fleet moved, but the silence in the war rooms was heavier than any words. Humanity had stayed out, but this signal was tearing open the wall they had built between themselves and the galaxy's chaos. News spread quietly across Earth. Only whispers leaked through military silence. People asked questions in the dark corners of the net. Why would aliens call for human help? Why now, after years of war? Fear grew, but so did suspicion. Some believed it was a trap, a way to pull Earth into the galactic slaughter. Others believed it was the truth, a sign that even the greatest empires were falling, and humanity would be next if they did not act. Far above, in the black of space, Earth's defense satellites hummed, their silent sensors stretching far into the void. They saw what most of the planet could not. The war was moving closer. Broken fleets limped across the stars. Fragments of battles drifted like floating graveyards. Entire systems had gone dark. Earth's borders, once far from the fighting, were now only a breath away from invasion. Humanity had ignored the galaxy for years, but the galaxy was now at their door. The alien council, watching from their grand chambers, laughed when they heard of the plea for help. "Let the humans play heroes," one sneered, "and they will be the next to burn." But behind the laughter, some eyes grew cold with worry. If Earth answered, what would they reveal? For centuries, no one had truly known the depth of human power. They showed colonies, they showed trade, but they had never shown their fleets. No one had seen the full size of Earth's armies since the day they entered the stars. And silence was a weapon as sharp as any blade. As the signal grew weaker, Earth faced a choice: to remain silent and let another empire burn, or to answer and show their hand at last. In a hidden base beneath the Pacific Ocean, the Council of Earth's leaders met in darkness. Old generals with scarred faces, young commanders with steel eyes, scientists with voices tight from secrets. They all listened to the signal one final time. It was broken now, fading into static, but the fear in the alien voices could not be erased. Something far greater than warships was hunting them. Something that even empires feared. For the first time in years, voices rose in the chamber. Some argued Earth must stay silent, that the galaxy's war was not theirs. Others said ignoring the call would only bring destruction closer. The debate raged as the signal finally died, leaving only silence. Humanity stood on the edge of a decision, and every leader knew the truth. Whether they answered or not, the galaxy's fire was coming for them. While leaders argued, something else happened. Deep space telescopes caught movement at the edge of the solar system. It was faint at first, a blur against the endless stars. Then it grew clearer, shapes, engines, warships, not human, not from Earth. The fleet was massive, a shadow blotting out starlight as it crept closer. The alien council had not waited. While one empire begged for Earth's help, another. Strike first. Panic swept through hidden command centers as alarms screamed. Screens lit up with data, weapons powered, and human soldiers ran to stations. The fleets were not at Earth's doorstep yet, but they were moving fast, their weapons hot, their course clear. They were not here to talk. They were not here to warn. They were here to erase. Across Earth, the skies remained peaceful, stars twinkling as they always had. Families slept. Children dreamed. But far above, the void was no longer empty. Humanity's silence had lasted longer than anyone thought possible. Now the galaxy was forcing them to break it. In the deepest part of space, sensors picked up the size of the fleet, and the image shook every human commander to silence. A colossal alien dreadnought, larger than anything humanity had ever seen, was leading them straight to Earth. The dreadnought moved like a mountain across the stars. Its engines glowed red, its hull scarred from battles already fought, but its power was undeniable. Around it swarmed smaller alien warships, each one larger than any human battleship ever revealed. Together, they formed a spear of fire cutting straight toward the solar system. The fleet was silent, no warning sent, no threat spoken. Their message was clear without words. Earth was the next target. Inside Earth's hidden command stations, alarms rang across every screen. Generals stood stiff, their eyes locked on the growing swarm of ships. Soldiers whispered to each other, some fearful, some eager, but all waiting for orders that had not yet come. Humanity had built its silence into a shield, but now that shield was breaking under the weight of shadows. For the first time in centuries, war was coming to Earth's skies. Civilian eyes saw nothing. The night was quiet, stars still twinkling like jewels in the black. But in secret, governments moved quickly. Defense satellites activated, underground shelters prepared for what might come. Rumors spread across the net, faster than leaders could silence them. People spoke of strange fleets moving closer, of telescopes catching shapes that were not human. Fear rose, and with it anger. Why had Earth stayed out for so long, if danger was always coming anyway? In orbit, cloaked human satellites followed the alien fleet's every move. Their silent sensors scanned weapons, tracked formations, measured power outputs. The reports shocked even the hardest generals. The dreadnought's cannons were larger than skyscrapers, designed to crack open planets like eggs. Entire moons had been shattered by these ships in past wars. To face such power directly was suicide. Yet still, the fleet came closer and Earth remained quiet. The Alien Council broadcast a message across the galaxy, their voices dripping with mockery. The humans will now learn that silence does not protect them. They will kneel or they will burn. Alien cities erupted in laughter, convinced the war would be quick. But deep in the Council's hidden chambers, not all were laughing. Some remembered Earth's history, the way humans had fought each other for thousands of years, always surviving, always rising stronger. They wondered if attacking Earth might unleash something they had never wanted to see. As the alien dreadnought crossed into the outer edges of the solar system, tension grew unbearable. Human fleets remained hidden, silent shadows waiting in dark corners of space. The dreadnought sent no demands, no signals. It simply advanced, slow and unstoppable, like a predator certain of its kill. On Earth, Families stared at peaceful skies, unaware that death was coming closer with every heartbeat. In the secret chamber beneath the Pacific, Earth's leaders debated with fire in their voices. Some demanded that humanity reveal its fleets, show the galaxy that they were not prey. Others argued to wait, to keep silence until the last possible moment, to let the enemy believe Earth was weak. The debate raged, but outside those walls soldiers already prepared for war. Armories opened, weapons long hidden brought out into the light. Human soldiers trained with grim determination, their eyes sharp, their movements precise. They had been waiting for this moment, even if the world had not. Above, the dreadnought's fleet reached Neptune's orbit. Sensors on human satellites burned with warnings. The alien ships had charged weapons. Their cannons aimed not at Earth, not at Mars, but at Jupiter's moons. The message was clear. They would destroy everything in their path, system by system, until Earth surrendered. The first moon shattered into dust under their fire, a bright explosion that lit the void like a dying star. The image spread across human command screens. No one spoke. No one needed to. The enemy had declared their intent, but in that silence, something strange happened. Far beyond the enemy's view, in the blackness behind dead moons and empty asteroids, shadows stirred. Shapes shifted. Cold metal gleamed faintly in the dark. For the first time, the edge of something vast appeared, hidden for years in the depths of space. A single shape at first, long and sharp like a blade. Then another, and another. Human warships, black and silent, began to wake. Their engines lit with a soft hum, their weapons powered. Their eyes turned toward the intruders. The alien fleet destroyed another moon, their laughter carried across channels. "This is the fate of all who resist us," their commanders declared. "Earth will watch its system burn." But even as they boasted, the enemy did not see what human eyes saw. The void was no longer empty. Something larger than shadows was moving. Humanity's silence was ending. On Earth, people still looked up at peaceful skies, but in the hidden command chambers, the first real order was given. A single word appeared across encrypted screens, simple but heavy with meaning: prepare. Human soldiers tightened their grips on their rifles. Admirals stood straighter. Pilots climbed into cockpits they had trained for, but never flown in battle. Humanity had not answered yet, but the silence was beginning to crack. As the alien dreadnought prepared to fire on another moon, the void around Saturn shimmered. Out of the black, something massive uncloaked. A human warship unlike anything ever seen. Its hull vast and bristling with weapons, a silent giant waking at last. The alien dreadnought hovered above Saturn's rings like a god of war. Its cannons glowing with power, ready to shatter another moon. Alien commanders laughed as their fleet surrounded the solar system like a tightening noose. To them, Earth was already dead, a prize to be burned and conquered. But then, the void trembled. A shimmer of light cut across the black, and from the silence, a shape emerged. It was not alien, it was human. The ship that appeared was massive, larger than any vessel humanity had ever shown the galaxy. Its hull was black as midnight, its surface lined with strange patterns that caught the light of Saturn's rings. Alien sensors scrambled, unable to read its energy signatures. The warship moved with quiet purpose, its engines pulsing with a steady, controlled glow. For a moment, the alien fleet froze, staring at the impossible. Humanity had stayed silent for centuries, but now they had revealed a weapon that no one had known existed. On Earth, command rooms erupted in silence. Generals stood still, their eyes fixed on the live feed. Soldiers leaned forward, breaths held. This was the moment they had waited for. The silence was broken, not by words, but by the sight of a single human warship standing against an alien armada. No declaration of war, no threats, just the silent appearance of steel and shadow. The alien council, watching from their distant chambers, scoffed at first. "One ship?" they sneered. "Is this the best the humans have?" But their laughter was uneasy. Something about the vessel was wrong. Its design was different from anything in their archives. It carried weapons they could not identify, shields they could not measure. It was a predator no one had ever studied, and predators that hide too long are always dangerous. The alien dreadnought opened fire, its cannons blazing like suns. Energy bolts cut through the void, slamming into the human ship. For a heartbeat, the black hull disappeared under light. Alien commanders cheered, convinced they had crushed the humans with a single strike. But when the light cleared, the warship still stood untouched, its shields glowing faintly before fading back into silence. It had not even moved. It had simply endured. A voice, calm and cold, spoke through the human command channels. "Target locked!" The alien fleet had no time to react. From the warship's hull, a single weapon flared. It did not fire missiles. It did not launch lasers. Instead, a beam of light bent the stars themselves, a twisting shot of pure energy that ripped through the void like a blade. The alien battleship, directly in front of the dreadnought, shuddered. Then in a flash of white fire, it was gone, erased, not destroyed, as if it had never existed at all. Alien fleets panicked. Commanders shouted across channels, voices cracking with fear. "Impossible! What weapon is this?" The dreadnought pulled back, its cannons dimming, its massive bulk suddenly unsure. For the first time in centuries, alien warlords tasted something they had forgotten: fear. Humanity had shown one ship, and with one shot they had erased an empire's pride. On Earth, people watched in awe as news leaked across secret nets. The weak, fragile humans the galaxy mocked had unveiled a monster. The world held its breath, not knowing if this was only the beginning or the end. Families prayed, soldiers clenched their fists, leaders exchanged grim looks. Humanity had finally stepped onto the stage of the Galactic War, and they had not come empty-handed. But the alien fleet did not retreat. Pride burned hotter than fear. The dreadnought roared back into formation, its weapons glowing brighter, its escorts surging forward. They would drown this human ship in fire, even if it cost them everything. The black warship did not move, its weapons humming, its engines whispering. In silence, it prepared for the storm. Inside the ship, human soldiers walked through steel corridors, faces calm and unshaken. They had trained for this moment, waiting in the shadows while the galaxy bled. Now the waiting was over. Pilots slid into cockpits, Marines checked their rifles, commanders stared at screens showing enemy formations. None of them trembled. They knew what they carried, and they knew what they would unleash. The alien dreadnought gave the order. Hundreds of ships fired at once, a storm of energy turning the void into fire. The sky around Saturn blazed brighter than a sun. Alien soldiers cheered as they believed no ship could survive such power. But deep inside the firestorm, the black warship still moved. Its hull glowed faintly, its shields shimmering like water under moonlight. And then, with a soundless tremor, it fired again. The second shot ripped across the fleet. This time, not one but 3 alien ships vanished, torn from existence in a flash of bending light. Their screams ended before they could even register what had struck them. Alien commanders shouted in panic, trying to scatter, trying to regroup, but fear had broken their discipline. The dreadnought turned slowly, its engines burning with fury, but hesitation was in every movement. For the first time, the predators of the galaxy felt like prey. On Earth, a new order flashed across command screens. The message was short, but it carried the weight of centuries of silence breaking apart. Activate hidden fleets. Far beyond Saturn, in the shadows of dead moons and hollow asteroids, thousands of human warships uncloaked at once. Their engines lit the dark like a second galaxy, surrounding the alien invaders in a trap that had been waiting all along. The void lit up, as if the stars themselves had returned. Thousands of human warships uncloaked across the solar system, each one black and silent, their engines glowing with controlled power. They had been hidden in shadows, behind moons, inside asteroid belts, and even in the frozen wastelands of the Oort cloud. For centuries, humanity had watched and waited, building fleets in secret while the galaxy mocked them as weak. Now the secret was out, and it was terrifying. Alien commanders froze in shock. Their scanners filled with so many human signatures that the displays glitched. unable to process the sheer number of warships appearing all at once. What they had believed was a single lonely vessel was now revealed as the tip of a spear so vast it made their dreadnought look small. Alien soldiers whispered in fear, their confidence cracking. How long have they been preparing this? On Earth, silence filled the command chambers as the live feed spread across hidden screens. Leaders who had carried the secret for decades finally let the truth shine. Generals, who had spent their lives building fleets no one had ever seen, stood tall with cold satisfaction. The world had mocked their silence. Now that silence was a weapon, and it was sharper than any blade. Each human warship was different, but all were deadly. Some were sleek and fast, built to strike like daggers in the dark. Others were massive and bristling with cannons, able to unleash firestorms that could melt entire fleets. And among them, larger shadows drifted, colossal human carriers, their hulls like floating cities, holding armies of soldiers ready to board and strike. The galaxy had thought humanity too fragile, too scattered, too afraid. But they had not seen the truth. Humanity had not been weak. Humanity had been patient. The alien fleet scrambled to regroup. The dreadnought, pride of their empire, pushed forward, its cannons glowing hotter, trying to mask the fear that rippled through its escorts. Alien commanders barked orders, demanding their ships form a wall of fire. But even as they did, doubt spread. For every alien ship, there were 3 human ships. For every weapon they had, humanity had built one stronger. Then the human warships moved. Not in chaos, not in disorder, but in perfect silent formation. Like a tide, they flowed into position, encircling the alien fleet with deadly precision. Their engines burned like faint blue stars, their cannons humming as power surged. Alien soldiers stared out of their windows, seeing black shadows blotting out constellations, surrounding them like hunters, closing in on prey. The first volley came from humanity. It was not a test. It was not a warning. It was war. Beams of bending light tore through the void, striking alien cruisers. Ships that had stood victorious across 100 battles vanished in seconds. Alien screams filled the comms, their proud voices breaking into panic. The dreadnought roared with fury, firing back, its cannons burning holes through space, but human shields absorbed the strikes. The battle had begun, and it was not in the aliens' favor. On Earth, soldiers in bunkers watched the feed with clenched fists. Families held each other as the truth of their people's strength unfolded above their skies. Children, once told their world was weak, now saw fleets so vast they blotted out the stars. Humanity had been underestimated for too long, and now the galaxy was paying for its arrogance. Inside the alien council chambers, chaos erupted. Reports streamed in of entire fleets vanishing under human fire. Leaders shouted at each other, some demanding a retreat, others insisting to press on. But one truth echoed through every chamber. Earth had hidden a power no one could match. Their silence had been strategy, and their patience had been preparation. Now the galaxy trembled under the weight of that revelation. The battle around Saturn grew fiercer. Alien ships charged in desperation, trying to break through the human wall. But every attempt was crushed. Human interceptors darted between hulking carriers, striking weak points with ruthless precision. Boarding ships launched, carrying soldiers in steel armor, faces hidden behind dark visors, weapons glowing with deadly energy. Alien crews screamed as human marines tore into their decks, fighting with a ferocity no one had expected. The dreadnought tried to turn, its engines roaring as it sought an escape route. But every path was blocked by human warships, every retreat cut off. The predator had become the hunted. Human commanders watched with calm eyes, their voices low but sharp as they gave orders. Each strike, each movement, was part of a plan that had been waiting in the shadows for decades. But just as humanity seemed ready to crush the invaders completely, something new appeared. Far behind the alien fleet, beyond the edge of the battlefield, the stars shifted. A ripple of energy distorted the void. Sensors screamed warnings as massive new signatures appeared. Alien reinforcements. And not just more ships, these were larger, older, darker. Ships of a kind even human senses struggled to identify. Weapons powered with strange ancient energy. The galaxy's empires had not just sent one fleet. They had sent a second wave, and this one was far deadlier. As the human fleets closed in for the kill, space itself seemed to split open. From the darkness, a second alien armada poured through, led by something even greater than the dreadnought, a colossal vessel so vast it blocked out entire constellations. Humanity's secret fleet was strong, but now they faced a storm even they might not survive. The void tore open, as if the stars themselves were being ripped apart. From the Black Wound poured the second alien armada, larger and darker than anything humanity had faced. Their ships were old, carved with strange markings, powered by ancient energy no scanner could identify. At the center of this storm moved a vessel so vast it blocked out entire constellations, a titan of war bigger than Earth's own moon. Its engines pulsed like the heartbeat of a monster, and its weapons glowed with the promise of annihilation. The human fleets froze for a single breath. Generals and admirals across command screens stared in silence, their faces hard. Soldiers clenched their fists tighter on their rifles. Pilots gripped their controls until their knuckles whitened. They had prepared for war, but this was a storm beyond anything they had predicted. Yet no order to retreat came. Humanity did not back down. The alien dreadnought, already battered, roared with relief as reinforcements filled the void. Alien soldiers cheered, their morale restored, certain that the humans would now be crushed. "See how fragile they are." Alien commanders shouted across open channels. "The humans cannot stand against this." But their voices shook beneath their arrogance, for even they feared the ships that now entered the battlefield. These were not ordinary warships. These were relics of destruction, forged by empires that had burned galaxies long before Earth reached the stars. The human fleets shifted, moving like a tide around Saturn's rings. Black warships spread into new formations, encircling both the dreadnought and its reinforcements. The void shimmered with energy, as shields powered, cannons armed, and soldiers prepared for the storm. Silence hung heavy for one final second. Then the void exploded. The battle began with fire that blinded the stars. Alien beams of ancient power cut through space, slicing human ships in half with terrifying speed. Dozens of human vessels burst into flames, their crews screaming as they vanished into the dark. But humanity answered back. Warp cannons and solar lances fired, bending light into weapons that ripped through alien shields. Whole clusters of enemy ships vanished under human fire. The void became a storm of destruction, a battlefield where death fell like rain. Human interceptors darted between the massive ships, fast and ruthless, striking at weak points. Alien swarms tried to chase them, but every pursuit ended in ambush as human squadrons worked in perfect unity. Boarding ships launched again, carrying human marines in armor that shone like steel shadows. They crashed onto alien hulls, cutting through metal with burning charges, storming decks with weapons that glowed red in the dark. Alien soldiers met them with claws, plasma, and fury, but human marines fought with something sharper than technology, unyielding will. On Earth, the world watched in silence. News of the second alien armada had spread, and fear gripped every city. Families crowded around screens, watching their hidden fleets fight for survival. Children asked if the war would reach them. Parents gave no answer. The skies above Earth remained calm, stars twinkling as they always had, but in the void, humanity's fate balanced on the edge of fire. The colossal alien vessel finally moved. Its engines pulsed once, and shockwaves rippled across the void. Its weapons glowed, charging for a strike unlike anything seen before. Sensors screamed warnings across human command screens. "Impact in 20 seconds, a voice announced, steady but grim. Admirals gave the order. Human carriers shifted into formation, their shields overlapping, creating a wall between Earth and the monster. Pilots whispered silent prayers as they braced for the hit. The alien titan fired. A beam of ancient energy, wider than a city, ripped across the battlefield. It tore through shields, shredded warships, and cut a line of fire straight through humanity's defenses. Dozens of ships vanished in seconds. The explosion lit Saturn's rings, turning ice into fire. Human soldiers shouted as their ships burned, but still they fought, regrouping, striking back. One human warship, black and massive, charged forward against orders. Its captain gave a single command: all power to the core. The ship's engines roared as it dove straight at the colossal alien vessel. Cannons fired, tearing holes into the Titan's shields. Then, with a final surge of energy, the human warship detonated itself, its core exploding like a newborn star. The blast shook the void, tearing a chunk of the alien vessel's armor away. Humanity roared in defiance. The monster could bleed, but the alien Titan did not fall. Instead it turned, its glowing eyes fixed on Earth itself. Its weapons began to charge again, this time not at fleets, not at moons, but at the blue planet far below. The message was clear: if humanity would not kneel, then Earth itself would burn. In the command chambers beneath the Pacific, leaders froze. This was the nightmare they had always feared. Humanity's fleets were strong, but could they stop a weapon built to destroy worlds? Generals gave orders at once. Redirect all warships! Protect Earth! Human fleets surged forward, forming a shield wall around their home. Soldiers gritted their teeth. Pilots locked weapons. No one moved back. They would hold, no matter the cost. The alien Titan's weapon reached full power, its glow brighter than the sun. In the silence of the void, the next shot prepared to fire, not at a fleet, not at a moon, but directly at Earth itself. The alien Titan's weapon glowed brighter than the sun, a burning orb of ancient energy building at its core. Every scanner in the solar system screamed with warning. Every human commander knew the truth. If that beam struck Earth, it would end millions of lives in a single breath. Panic spread across hidden command centers. Some officers froze, others shouted, but one order cut through the chaos like a blade. Hold the line. Protect Earth! Human fleets surged into motion. Warships roared forward, their engines burning blue as they formed a shield wall in front of the planet. Carriers shifted into position, their massive hulls bristling with interceptors, ready to sacrifice themselves. Smaller ships darted between them, weaving a living net of defense. Soldiers on Earth watched the skies, unaware of the battle above, but those who knew trembled. Humanity was about to be tested like never before. The alien Titan fired. A beam wider than mountains tore through the void. A river of pure destruction aimed straight at Earth. The first human shields lit up, glowing brighter than cities as the beam struck. The fleet shuddered under the impact. Warships cracked, shields shattered, carriers split apart in fire. Dozens of ships died instantly, their crews swallowed by light. But the line held. For 1 second, then another, the beam was slowed. Humanity was bleeding, but Earth still stood. In that desperate moment, a second order came through encrypted channels, one that had never been spoken aloud before. Deploy the Eclipse fleet. Across the outer edges of the battlefield, colossal shapes stirred. These were not ordinary warships. They were humanity's greatest secret. Ships so massive they had been hidden inside hollowed asteroids, disguised as pieces of dead space. Their hulls were blacker than night, their weapons ancient and new, forged in silence, while the galaxy laughed at Earth's weakness. Now they moved. The Eclipse fleet emerged like titans, each ship the size of a city, armed with weapons that bent light and twisted gravity. Alien commanders froze as their sensors overloaded again. They had expected humanity's hidden fleets, but not this, never this. The first Eclipse ship fired. A sphere of compressed gravity tore through the void, dragging enemy cruisers into its crushing pull. Alien ships ripped apart as if the stars themselves had turned against them. Panic spread through the alien ranks. Humanity had shown weapons that broke the laws of war. At the same time, humanity unleashed its soldiers. Boarding ships launched in waves, slamming into alien dreadnoughts. Human marines in black steel armor stormed across enemy decks, their rifles blazing, their blades cutting through steel and flesh. Alien soldiers fought with claws and plasma, but the humans moved like shadows, their training unmatched, their determination unbreakable. For every soldier who fell, another pressed forward, their voices silent, but their rage echoing through the halls of enemy warships. On Earth, news finally broke through the silence. Families saw images of human warships fighting titans, of fleets burning above Saturn, of soldiers boarding alien vessels. Fear filled the world, but so did something else: pride. The people who had been mocked, dismissed and underestimated were now standing against monsters, and they were not backing down. Crowds gathered in streets, cheering into the night sky, their voices rising as if to carry strength to the soldiers fighting above. Humanity was no longer silent. The alien titan roared back, firing again. The beam ripped through space, tearing apart more human ships. But this time the Eclipse fleet answered. Their weapons glowed with unnatural power, bending energy back upon itself. The Titan's shields flared as the blasts struck, cracks appearing across its enormous hull. For the first time, the monster bled. Alien soldiers screamed as their invincible vessel groaned under the weight of human fire. The battle became chaos. Explosions shook Saturn's rings. Warships spun out of control. Alien fleets shattered under precision strikes. Humanity lost ships by the dozens, but they gained ground, pressing harder, refusing to yield. In the darkness of the void, the tide began to turn. Humanity was striking back. Inside the alien council chambers across the galaxy, silence fell. No one laughed now. No one mocked. They watched in horror as the fragile humans stood against their greatest weapons and struck them down. Councils that had once voted to cast Earth aside now whispered in fear. What if humanity survived this? What would they do next? In the command chamber beneath the Pacific, Earth's leaders stood like stone, their eyes fixed on the Titan's image, its glowing weapon charging again. A grim truth spread through the room. The Eclipse fleet had wounded it, but not enough. If the Titan fired again at full power, Earth itself might not survive. There was only one chance left. An admiral's voice broke the silence. We deploy it now. The Ark ship. The chamber fell quiet. For years, the Ark ship had been only rumor, a weapon too powerful, too dangerous to reveal. But now, with Earth itself in the crosshairs, there was no choice. Orders flashed across encrypted lines. Far beyond Pluto, in the darkest edge of the solar system, something ancient and enormous stirred, as the alien Titan's weapon charged to fire directly at Earth. The void rippled near Pluto. Out of the shadows, a single shape emerged, larger than anything humanity had ever built. Its hull glowed faintly with power. The Ark ship had awakened. From the shadows beyond Pluto, the Ark ship emerged. It was larger than any fleet, larger even than the alien Titan itself. Its hull stretched like a continent of steel, its surface glowing with strange symbols that pulsed with living light. Entire cities could have lived inside it, but this was no colony ship. This was a weapon, humanity's last and greatest secret, hidden for centuries in the dark, waiting for this single moment. Alien commanders across the battlefield froze. Even their ancient archives held no record of such a vessel. Their voices cracked with fear, their laughter gone. "What is that?" they whispered. But deep down they already knew. It was the answer to their arrogance. It was the reason humanity had stayed silent for so long. The Ark ship's engines roared once, and the void shook. Its shields flared like a second sun, protecting fleets that had nearly broken under the alien Titan's fire. Its weapons began to hum, a low, endless sound that spread through space like a heartbeat. The alien Titan, enormous and proud, turned to face it. For the first time, the Predator hesitated. On Earth, the people looked up at the sky. Screens across the planet showed the image of the Ark ship awakening. Fear turned to awe. Children pointed with wide eyes. Families cried with pride. Soldiers saluted the feed, knowing their fight had brought humanity to this moment. The world had hidden its power in silence, and now that silence had shattered into thunder, the alien Titan fired again. Its weapon glowed white, releasing a beam that had destroyed fleets and shattered moons. The light struck the Ark ship head-on. For a moment the battlefield disappeared in brightness, as if a star had exploded. Human fleets braced for the worst. But when the light faded, the Arkship still stood. Its shields shimmered faintly, cracks glowing across their surface, but they held. The monster had struck with all its might and failed. Then came humanity's answer. The Arkship's main cannon opened, a vast chamber that bent reality around it. Energy gathered, pulling starlight itself into its core. The sound grew louder, a thrum that shook ships even light years away. When it fired, the void screamed. The beam was not light, not fire, but something greater, pure space bent into a weapon. It tore across the battlefield, ripping through the alien Titan's shields, through its armor, through its heart. The Titan roared as its hull cracked, pieces of it breaking away, entire decks consumed in the blast. For the first time, the Titan bled, and it bled badly. Human fleets surged forward, striking with renewed fury. Interceptors darted through broken alien lines. Boarding ships stormed crippled vessels. Eclipse warships unleashed gravity bombs, tearing apart entire clusters of enemy cruisers. Alien formations collapsed under the weight of the attack. What had begun as their victory was turning into their nightmare. Inside the alien council chambers across the galaxy, silence reigned. They had once mocked humanity as fragile. They had laughed at Earth's silence. Now they watched as the fragile species shattered fleets, crippled titans, and unleashed weapons no one had ever seen. For the first time in galactic history, the Council trembled not at each other, but at Earth. The alien titan staggered, but it did not fall. Its engines roared, pulling energy from unknown sources. Its weapon charged one final time, brighter than ever before. Alien commanders screamed their last order: "Destroy Earth, even if we die!" The Titan's glow lit the void, preparing to erase everything. The Arkship answered again. Its cannon roared, bending space into a weapon greater than fire. This time it fired not alone, but with the Eclipse fleet. Thousands of human warships unleashed their power in unison. The void became light and darkness, fire and silence, destruction and rebirth. The alien Titan's body cracked apart, splitting down the middle, its scream shaking the stars. In one final blaze, the monster exploded, its fragments scattering across Saturn's rings. The battlefield fell silent. Alien fleets, leaderless and broken, scattered in panic. Some tried to flee, others surrendered, but none could stand. Humanity's fleets held the void, their engines glowing with calm strength. The Arkship drifted forward, its shields dim but unbroken, its cannon cooling after the strike that had ended the war. On Earth, cheers rose like thunder. Families embraced, soldiers cried, leaders stood tall. Humanity had not only survived, they had won. The world that the galaxy mocked as weak had destroyed the greatest weapon ever seen. The silence of centuries had ended in fire, and now the galaxy would never laugh again. But victory was not peace. In the command chambers, leaders knew the truth. Humanity had revealed its fleets, its soldiers, its weapons. The galaxy now knew Earth's power, and fear would follow. The war had ended, but a new era had begun. One not of silence, but of dominance. One where councils would tremble at the sight of human banners. As the fleets regrouped and the Arkship cast its shadow across the stars, a final order spread across the channels. Push forward. Humanity would not wait for the next attack. Humanity would not hide again. The galaxy had brought war to Earth. Now Earth would bring war to the galaxy. The Arkship turned slowly, its massive hull casting darkness over the fleeing alien fleets. Its engines roared, pointing not back toward Earth but outward, deeper into the galaxy. Humanity had defended its home. Now it was time to conquer.